Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to turn over the meeting to the Finance and Administration Chair, Councilmember Betsy Wilkerson. Take it away.
Everyone, it is like stinking gorgeous outside today in Spokane, so thank you for joining us. So now that I have the okay from Council President Beggs, I'd like approval of the minutes from the 19th meeting, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. Moving right along today, because we do have a pretty full agenda with some exciting things in it, I'm going to go right to Larry Crowder from the airport. And Larry, I'm going to let you do A and B together, please. Welcome.
Larry, can you see my screen?
I can see the screen, Todd. Can everybody else?
Yes.
Okay. Thumbs up from Council President and the Chair. Thank you. Again, good afternoon, everyone. We have two items today, items A and B. Both are joint resolutions for the city and the county to approve the sale of property that is surplus to our needs at the airport. And I'd like to go ahead and advance to the first slide, Todd. This is just an overall view that I wanted to share with Council, just to update you on the status of the different land sales that have taken place. Most of the land sales that have taken place, we lost the slide here. Most of the land sales that have taken place have occurred on the west side of the property. And as you can see on the diagram, that involved land near Craig Road, near the future transload facility, land that was sold in 2014 to support the development of Exotic Metals Forming Company, which has now been sold to Parker Aerospace. And Todd is cursoring over that right now. And then most recently, land that was sold to AT Acquisitions, which has supported additional growth of Amazon in our community. And that land was located in the city of Airway Heights. The sales that we have to talk about today, the first one is a sale to King Beverage. And as you can see on this slide, before we advance to the next slide, King Beverage is located on the opposite side of the airport from previous sales in our what we call our airport business park, located at the intersection of Flightline Boulevard and Geiger Boulevard. This property will have more information on for you in the next slide. I think we may have the slides out of order, Todd. You'll have to go down to slide 4, please. Thank you. Slide 4 is a closer depiction of the actual parcel to be sold. You can see the 20-acre piece, and that's located south of the existing recycling center and the waste-to-energy plant. And the sale price is about a little over $98,000 per acre, which will render a purchase price of $1,960,200. We will ultimately calculate the sale price with whatever final meets and bounds survey is completed. And of course, the sale was conditioned upon approval by the airport board. The airport board approved that at their April meeting. And then the county commissioners approved the sale at their meeting last week. And then we are asking for city council to approve it at their next regularly scheduled meeting. Would you like me to continue, Madam Chair?
Please, go ahead. I think it all ties together.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And this is just an aerial view of the 20-acre parcel that is being sold to King Beverage. King Beverage, of course, is an existing business inside of the city of Spokane, looking to expand their operations. And as you can imagine, as a distribution facility being located near a major interchange with I-90 out in the West Plains is very desirable. And so it was no surprise that they zeroed in on this particular available parcel for sale. So Todd, would you like to go back to slide 2, please? And slide 2 is the second sale, Madam Chair, that we are asking the City Council to approve. And this is also a really great story because it's another expansion of an existing business inside of the city. In this case, it is WearTech, a manufacturing facility that's located on Highway 2 near the airport. Another good landmark is the next to it is, or nearby is the barbecue, Longhorn Barbecue. Everybody kind of knows where that's at. So this is just a little bit west of there. The sale in this particular case is property located behind WearTech that is about 4.46 acres. And WearTech has assembled property both to the west and the east, and this property is to the south of what they have, that will give them more or less a square lot with which to expand their manufacturing facility. The sale price of this parcel is $215,000, less $22,000 for the acquisition of a 40-foot wide easement that Todd is cursoring over now to the easternmost portion of the property, because we have an area just to the east that would have been landlocked had we not done that. And we want to preserve the possibility of access to Highway 2 at some future point, should that be possible. So the net proceeds to the airport from this sale, Madam Chair, would be $193,000. And this is just a location, again, an aerial photo to show the location of WearTech on the lower right of Highway 2, and then the site that we would sell them, the 4.66 acres. And Madam Chair, the proceeds of these sales will go to funding needed capital improvements projects at Spokane International Airport. When we do sell surplus property, we have an obligation to utilize those funds for the direct either operating or capital expenses of the airport.
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Larry. Any questions? Well, I can say that I speak for myself and hopefully others, to see expansion and growth out there. It's always exciting for the city of Spokane, for our region. So thank you so much. If there is no questions or comments for Larry or Todd, then we will move right along to amusement devices. And I know you guys are all wondering what that is. So I'm going to turn it over to Brian McClatchy.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you. So the amusement devices ordinance, amusement devices under our code are defined as pinball machines, pool tables, video games, etc. And the ordinance runs down in the whereas clauses a history of the city's move from criminalization for children. Up until 1971, it was illegal for a child at 16 years of age or under to play a pool table in the city of Spokane. But we've moved from a criminalized perspective to a regulatory perspective, and now it is just revenue generation. The briefing paper makes plain that the city realizes anywhere from $9,000 to $12,000 in revenue from the licensing of amusement devices in the city of Spokane. And the idea was brought forward to give those operators a break, because during COVID, they would not ever be able to use those devices in their business. Looking at it one step further from simply a COVID break and looking at the small amount of revenue, the proposal is to do away with that revenue generation because it is at a small level and really doesn't contribute to the city budget, and it helps likely small businesses who are using pool tables or video games or other amenities like that to draw in business. So that's the proposal. Repeal the section that imposes a license fee for amusement devices in the city of Spokane.
Thank you. Councilmember Stratton.
Yeah, I would just add that we received a very well-written letter, my office did, from a gentleman that represents some of these business owners that have pinball machines and pool tables. And, you know, he really stresses on the fact that back in the 40s and 50s and even a little bit in the 70s that this was all put together to cover costs of police that could come in and settle disputes and gambling issues. And now it's just become a hardship. If they ever have an opportunity, he states in his letter, if they ever have an opportunity or if they have to call the police, they regularly call, you know, they'll call Crime Check, but that doesn't happen very often anymore. But it's a very good letter, and I can send it to all council members if you'd like to read it. He does a good job of kind of outlining concerns and justification for this. So let me know, and I can send it out. But I think it's fair, and I think it's generate that little revenue for something that is making some business owners suffer during COVID. And now they're getting letters from licensing telling them they have to pay up. So, I mean, it just seems to me it's one small thing we can do to kind of move to the future and take care of this.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, just going to add, I heard from one of those business owners who got one of those ugly demand letters, and I think the administration was able to take care of it. But yeah, really unfortunate, and so definitely support this. It makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. Tanya, did I see your hand go up?
You did. Thank you, council member, and to all the council members. We also had received this letter, and we're very, very supportive of having this code repealed, this code section. There is a cost to administering these types of licenses for such a small amount of revenue. So we just want to thank the council for being very forward on this and make sure that we fully support this and look forward to moving on this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Did I see City Administrator Mr. Perkins raise his hand?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you, Johnny Perkins, City Administrator. Mr. McClatchy, thank you for the report. I just wanted to weigh in on behalf of the mayor and the administration. This is something the mayor had been advocating previously, and just want to take this opportunity to thank the council for the consideration and thank the council president as well for considering this action this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all making me nervous today. That was like in total agreement.
I just want to, hey, Councilmember Wilkerson,
yes.
I just want to say thank you to Brian McClatchy on this.
Yes.
He just acted so quickly after we got the letter and really kind of opened it up for discussion and had some great ideas and great leadership, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Ditto on that. All right. Let's see if we can keep down this road. We're going to the Cannon Sheltering Services. Is Cassie with us? Or who would like to speak to?
Sorry, yeah, that's going to be myself. Cassie is not available today for that.
All right, have at it.
Yeah, so you should, I think everybody has the briefing paper on this. So the Canon, there's a 2-month funding gap that would be addressed with the resolution or the amendment that's before this group. And happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Perkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Johnny Perkins again, City Administrator. Just to add a little more to Mr. Lewis, David Lewis, Cupid Alexander, and the NHS team have done a wonderful, terrific job as it relates to our shelter projects and certainly on this particular item. What we wanted to bring forward is just acknowledgement that there's a 2-month funding gap as it relates to the Cannon shelter with the Guardians. And so we need that additional funding for May and June. And we have found the money in Community Development Block Grant COVID-19 funds. So the fund is there to support this. This was an ministerial oversight as it relates to, while the contract went through June 30, somewhere we forgot to cross a T, dot an I as related to extending that funding to the same date, which was June 30. So the ask is just to extend it to allow that $249,000 to be appropriated into the contract for the extension of the June 30 contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Beggs?
Yeah, a lot of us have been getting emails worried that we're closing Cannon Street Shelter on June 30th, and also wondering what's going to happen when we close the West Mission shelter for 60 to 90 days on June 30th for remodeling. Those are our only two co-ed shelters that are low barrier 24/7. But I'm wondering, Mr. Perkins, if you could update about it, because I think you have good news for people who are concerned about that we're not really closing, 200 beds on June 30th. So.
Thank you, Council President. Madam Chair, if I may respond to that,
Please.
appreciate the opportunity. So as the Council President mentioned or referenced, on June 30, the Guardians contract at Canyon does term. However, it is not going to term. We are going to return to you in a week or so as it relates to having a discussion, but come to you at City Council on June 7 for your consideration to allow for a 90-day contract extension for the Guardians at Cannon. We've discussed with City Attorney. He has indicated that we are within the parameters of the current agreement to do that for 90 days. That's one track. We're doing a dual track here, if I may use that terminology. The second parallel track will be an RFP, and led by Mr. Lewis, the NHS team at Cupid Alexander, we're developing an RFP that we hope to have out by the end of this month, 1st of June, that will call for providers who want to run that shelter on a more permanent basis. We're hoping to have an RFP of vendor selected by September 1. That's, I know, within 60 days, but I wanted to we're going to ask for 90 on the contract extension, just in case we need that time. So it's a two-step process. One is the Guardians contract will not end on June 30. We will come to the council and respectfully ask for your consideration for a 90-day extension. We hope to have something in place through an RFP sooner, but if we needed 90 days, we would take advantage of that. We think there's multiple organizations that are interested in providing the service, and we look forward to further discussions with the council president and members of the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. Any other questions around the shelter? I can only say I'm excited that we actually have a plan, that we will not be having gaps, because our citizens deserve that, and the neighborhood deserves that also. So thank you, Johnny Perkins, for that. I'm going to move on to Michelle, and around the housing and the ARP funding creation. Michelle?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chair and Council President and Council members. This is an ordinance that's coming forth to create a fund, two funds, 1425 for the new American Recovery or Rescue Act, and then also 1595, which will house all of the 0.1% sales tax that is becoming effective in June, and I believe we will start seeing money in August. Does anybody have any questions?
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, I guess not so much for Michelle, but broader, I've yet to hear kind of what the specific process is going to be for identifying, where the funds are going to go, how we're going to solicit input from the community, any of that. So just curious if anybody has an answer there.
I'm going to let Tanya speak to that.
Thank you. There has been a team working with Council President, Councilmember Wilkerson and Stratton. We've been putting somewhat of a framework together. We have just not yet put that forward. The guidelines from, a lot of it is also framed around the guidelines from the U.S. Treasury, and they just came out last week. So we are preparing some information that we can present to the City Council as well as the Cabinet about all of the America Rescue Plan dollars, the different buckets, the different grant opportunities, how they can be used, how they can be accessed. but it is going to take just a little bit of time to get through those Treasury guidelines of how we're going to do that and what it's limited to. So stay tuned. More information is going to be coming your way on that.
So Tanya, just a quick follow-up. So those three council members, are they putting together the recommendations, or are they putting together the framework that will then lead to the recommendations?
Excellent question. It is just the framework, just the framework. All of the council will be much, much more involved with the allocations and how we use those dollars.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Councilmember Cathcart, I will say that Brian McClatchy has also been monitoring the other monies that are coming into our region, so we can be as strategic as possible and leverage some of those opportunities, because it's coming from everywhere. And I hope we will have a session soon on really what those funding streams look like and where we can really make the most impact in our city. Any other questions for Michelle? All right, then Michelle, I will let you go, and Chief Schaefer also, if he's in the room. Number F.
Thank you. This is an SBO being brought forth. There was a MOU or a local agreement between Local 29 and the city, and we moved 3 firefighter dispatchers into the levy fund. And these 3 positions are being brought forth to be permanent positions to replace those firefighters when the MOU is over in February of 2022. And I will let Brian speak to the operational aspects of that.
Sure. Thanks, Michelle. First of all, we appreciate the flexibility throughout this entire process of joining, moving out, going back into this new arena, this new frontier of communications. In order for us to be successful, we need 14 FTEs in the unit. In the interim period, we were able to take 3 firefighters and move them from operations to help us in the communications division. That, albeit, was only temporary. And with their absence, that's causing additional overtime on the operations side. And the agreement that we have with Local 29, the bargaining unit for those employees, that expires in February. So in order for us to get the 3 personnel trained and get them ready so that they can take over for our 3 firefighters that are returning in February, we need to start now with the recruitment and selection of the 3 civilian replacements, and that is where the process stands as it is today. 14 is the most effective, I'd say maybe not the most effective, but 14 allows us to leverage the benefits of the shift schedule that we have out there right now with the amount of work and volume that we have.
Any questions for Chief Schaefer? So, Chief, I have a question. We see employment shortages across the region. How are you all addressing that, or are these people already in the pipeline?
My question, or your question, was the same one that I asked our Chief Outwood the other day, and apparently that is an ongoing recruitment that's already occurring through civil service. So with the exception of the lateral positions, we should have a list that we're able to hire off of. Bigger picture, you're exactly right, though, especially in public safety communications. I think we're seeing across the board it's very difficult to recruit people into public safety dispatching positions, and that's been a challenge for probably the last 5 or 6 years. So there's a recruitment effort that the Civil Service Group and HR have been working on, especially from the diversity standpoint of using some DEI principles to recruit and attract people into the field. But they just don't know. People just don't know exactly what they're getting into. That's what we've found with the failures in probation is it's not a boring job. It's a job that you really have to be a good communicator and a multitasker, and the pressure is pretty intense.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks
Any
for-
other questions? Okay, then. Let's go right along to the SBO for the water hydroelectric service employee parking lot. Stephen, are you out there?
I am here. Good afternoon, committee and council members. Glad to be here. The water department is requesting a special budget ordinance to pay for the construction of a replacement employee parking lot following the sale of the Triangle property at the northeast corner of North Wales, Nevada. The SBO will be actually accompanied by a request to approve a construction contract for the project. I believe that it will be on the evening of June 7th. So next Monday, both the SBO and the contract for the construction will be on the advance agenda. So this is the same parking lot replacement parking lot project that I presented last finance committee, and Marlene and I were able to get you more information upon request for hopefully to clarify what the need is for this parking lot and all the details that you need.
Thank you. Any questions for Steve out there? And thank you. We have been briefed on this before. I appreciate the additional information of how it really will fit into that neighborhood as that neighborhood grows and develops. That was probably the turning point for me. Any other questions? Councilmember Mumm.
Yes, I really appreciate the fact that you were able to cut the cost in half. I still have heartburn to pay $1 million for a parking lot. And I'm hoping, I'll drill down more on the details, but I think the neighborhood's going to benefit from this as well. So because there's a positive neighborhood benefit, I'm more interested in it now. So thank you so much for working so hard on this and giving us the more in-depth detail. And I do think the issue of employee parking and whether the city is obligated to provide that in what fashion is a continuing discussion that we need to have. We have close to 2,000 employees, and some people are treated differently, and we need to discuss that. So thank you.
You're welcome. Keep in mind also that that is the engineer's estimate, and we do have bids back on the project. They're being verified now, but I can report that they are considerably lower than the engineer's estimate, which is what we try to do. So.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about the EV stations. Are those part of the project cost, or are they part of the partnership that we have with Avista?
Those are part of the project cost right now, and so those are not those are not going to be on full build out for the parking lot right now, because we actually don't have all the details for the EV stations. We're actually going to be doing the preparation work, all of the groundwork that's necessary for it to get us to the point where when we actually know the design standards and the protocols, everything that we would need to know for what type of vehicles we're going to be getting, what we're actually going to be plugging them into. Obviously there's a wide range of those specifications. So that right now that's the stage of the EV stations in the project.
Thank you.
Interesting. Anyone else? Thank you. We'll have to have a meeting in that parking lot when it's done.
Please.
So, we can do it. We can do it. So we want to move on to the SBO for the Established Authority for the Cannon Shelter. And I'm going to bump that back over to Tanya. Or
Thank
Johnny
you.
Perkins.
Yes, Johnny is still on the line. And council members, this SBO in front of you for $1.1 million funded from our unappropriated general fund balance is for the remainder of the rest of the year. As you heard earlier, there were 2 months of a gap in the contract and funding CDBG CV dollars are being used to cover that. But from July 1st through the remainder of this fiscal year, December, there is a funding gap. And of course, we want operations to continue. And when we were building the budget, we understood that this was a possibility and that we would be coming back to you when we had more information and more direction of where it was going. So as of now, there is this SBO in front of you. It would cover the 90-day extension that Mr. Perkins talked about. And we're using that same estimated cost to just help us set up for the remaining 90 days after that as a result of the RFP. Included in that is an estimated $250,000 for tenant improvements that may be required to maybe alter the services that are provided out of this city-owned facility. Now, as a result of the RFP, new numbers may become known, and we'd certainly brief you on that and bring that to you when we have that more finer information. At this point, we're just using the information that we do have available to make sure that we're set up, we're ready to go. The last point that I want to make is very much aligned with all of the American Rescue Plan dollars that are coming into the community. If any of those dollars are available and can be used, we will target those as really the dollars that we would use for this program and the capital costs as well, and use our unappropriated reserves as a last resort. But at this point in time today, we'd like to get the SBO set up so that we can go ahead and launch, and then you're going to see that contract extension, as Mr. Perkins said, in about a week, or June 7th.
Great.
So that's a lot for you to take in.
Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair, council members, council president. Just to follow up on what Ms. Wallace was suggesting and articulating, which was 110% accurate. The 90-day extension on the contract, those dollars, we have a good idea of what that amount's going to be for the 90 days. It's the time period after that when this RFP arrives that we're unsure of what that final number is going to be. Finally, we are going to take time, which is why this evening, this particular portion of the SBO will not be in front of you. We're going to bring this to you in June because we want to have further conversations, Madam Chair, with yourself, the council president, and your colleagues, other members of the council, to walk through some of the financial ideas we have to fund this facility from July 1 to the end of the year. And we have some things to do before we come back and present that to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kinnear?
Thank you. And I appreciate all the hard work, Tanya, you've done and JP has done in his short time here. I don't see that we have the grand plan. I see this as a Band-Aid. Council President and I have been advocating for a day shelter for single men, someplace to go during the day since I think we came on board. Council, correct me if I'm wrong, Council President. I don't see a holistic plan to really address the homeless issue. I'd like to get us there faster because I see as we're going into summer, we're going to have increased homelessness, increased camping. It's not safe for people in the streets. It's not safe for people camping in the woods or alongside the river. So I urge the mayor and JP, I urge you to come up with something that's very comprehensive that addresses all the issues that we're talking about and something that involves the Veterans Administration so that they can deal with some of the folks that are suffering from PTSD. And right now, that's not happening. So that's my pitch. Please let's look at this big picture and not fix it as we go along.
Thank you. So, Councilmember Kinnear, to that, I had a conversation with JP around the same issues and have really encouraged and will help facilitate direct conversations with the providers in our city who do this work. My observation is, like, we tell them what we want, but we've never really asked them what they can do and what their insight on the people who actually do the work. So I look forward to those conversations, JP, and Councilmember Kinnear to continue this holistic approach. We know winter comes every year, and it won't be long before it will be here. So thank you. Any other questions? Council President Beggs.
I just wanted to second all of that from the two of you, and just remind people that we did pass a law last year, right on point, that requires a written plan and keeps us from closing shelters when the needs for the beds in those shelters are still in demand. So just wanted to point that to Mr. Perkins and everyone else who's watching closely, is that we did pass something for exactly this kind of result of a plan and not reducing beds until from a particular shelter. And again, we have the West Mission one is going to be closing temporarily, so we have to figure out the replacement beds for that population. But I'm super glad to hear from the administration that they're proceeding ahead, and I look forward to further conversations.
Thank you. JP.
Madam Chair, thank you. I appreciate that. Council President, members of the council, Johnny Perkins again. I just wanted to follow up on that. The mayor's plan involves a bridge shelter, a day use shelter. These are things that we're continuing to move forward at this time. Additionally, as it relates to the relocation of the residents from the Mission Shelter, we have a strategy to deploy them in various other facilities. As many of you know, that facility is going to initiate some construction here. And this is part of what we were bringing to the June 7 Public Safety and Community Health Committee that Councilmember Kinnear had asked for an update on that overall homelessness plan. She actually wanted it this month. I asked her, because I was moving from California here, if I could have till June. She granted that, and I appreciate that. So in June 7, we're going to outline this more. But the mayor has outlined the plan previously as it relates to the bridge shelter for housing, extended day use, 24/7 sheltering and housing, and some other things we're working on as it relates to litter and cleanup. And we've been advancing that here within the last 3 weeks since I've been here, as it relates to up-tempoing our daily activity of various hotspots and other locations throughout the city. So the mayor has a vision. She has some initiatives on homelessness. Many of those are in place. Many of those we're going to continue to advance and move forward. And I welcome and look forward to this continued conversation, not just with all the council members, but during the Public Safety and Community Health Committee meeting on June 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kinnear.
And thank you, JP. Yes, I did give you a reprieve. However, that doesn't silence me. Sorry. Just feeling the need to make sure that we keep beating this drum until we have all of the pieces in place and can see some real progress in moving forward. So I'll be that annoying mosquito at midnight, just buzzing around until we really get something going. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not going to comment on that. We're going to move right on to our new SBO for debt management. Tanya?
Hi, thank you, council members. This SBO is really for about $15,000 of funding to help with implementation of a debt management module. This is like the reverse side or the other side of the coin of our investment system that we also have. But as we go into leasing of vehicles, in addition to all of our SIP loans and our other outstanding debt issues, it's become very obvious to all of us here in finance that we really need a much more robust system than Excel spreadsheets to manage all of our, yes, thank you, Councilmember Mom, to really manage all of our debt and our leases and to keep track of them and make sure that the departments are on top of those payments and that we don't drop a ball anywhere on it. So that's what this is for. I hope you do support it, council members. Any questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, on to the SBO for the Police Academy Training Range. And Paul, that goes to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and council members. So this first item is on PDF page 236 of your packet. This would be establishing budget authority of approximately $115,000 in the SPD budget to allow for the refurbishment of the Academy training range. From what we've learned, it's been about 4 years since the last lead removal project was undertaken, and the full refurbishment would include mining a sand berm to remove that lead and then also reconstructing a support wall for the sand berm. Happy to take any questions on this one.
Hearing none, Paul, go right on into playgrounds.
Thank you very much. So the next is PDF page 238 of your packet. This one would establish budget authority from a transfer from the general fund to the Parks Department of approximately $160,000, and this would allow for the replacement of some of the playground equipment that we've heard about in the past couple months at some of the different committee meetings, so they can get started on those replacement projects.
Councilmember Mumm?
Bring this forward. We have been working on this for a couple of weeks, trying to find a way to get these important playground structures replaced. Typically, the City Council doesn't directly fund the Parks Department, but because of their financial hit that they took last year and the fact that these two playground structures basically were ripped out early as part of the replacement plan, it seems imperative that they get in and on the state order so they could at least have the opportunity for some use this summer by children in some of our most needy neighborhoods. This is scheduled for Peace Park and for A.M. Cannon Park. In A.M. Cannon, a wooden structure that the age group 5 to 12 would use had to actually be torn down during COVID. So kids that age lost their playground set during COVID because it was deemed unsafe. And then a little while back in Peace Park, again, a wooden structure was actually burned, and that had to be taken out. So I'm very glad to bring this forward and want to thank everyone who worked to try to find the funding necessary to do this.
Any other comments? Council President?
Yes, I had a question for Paul or Tanya. And so for both this ordinance and the aquatic support that's coming up, we want to get those dollars out the door. But I'm just wanting to confirm that if we decide to make those American Recovery Plan projects and fund that we can then go adjust the accounting and then put that money back into our reserve. So just making sure we can do that.
And that is correct. Tanya's nodding in the affirmative and telling me in my ear, yes.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Great. Well, thank you. And Councilmember Mumm, I appreciate you leaning in on that playground equipment. I know the parks is doing their big master plan, but we also know there are other parks in our neighborhoods who are in desperate need of upgraded playground equipment. So I will be supporting this, but we just have to keep our eyes open to other neighborhoods also that have the same needs going forward.
Thank you. Without this, they would have gone almost 3 years without playground equipment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Paul, let's do the water while we're at it.
So the final SBO I have on the agenda is PDF page 240 of your packet. And this provides budget authority for the Parks and Recreation Department's aquatics program for the summer. And this relates to the resolution adopted by City Council back on April 12th, which expressed support for supplemental aquatics facilities and operational funding support for 2021.
Questions? Full support? That would be me as a grandparent. You've got my vote on that one. Thank you. Going forward, we are then going to have a discussion about the SBO for the City Recovery Plan. And Councilmember Mumm's going to take us off on that.
Hi, everybody. And I really apologize that the final draft did not get to you until right before this meeting. So I understand how frustrating that is. But we have been talking for weeks, if not months, of what the city can do to help us with our economic recovery and coming out of the pandemic. And I believe we have something here that could really help, especially with the announcement last week by the CDC and our governor that if we have more vaccinations, we can recover quicker And so what this does is authorize the fire department to set up mobile vaccination sites at areas they deem the most appropriate and use our city staff to do it. There's also been some discussions about possibly having it be out at city ops where they could do a drive-through facility. When they have done drive-through facilities in the past, they could put 200 shots a day in per site. And they did a pilot of this up at MLK, and it worked well. And there's a ability to coordinate with the county health department and put this together and get this mobilized as soon as possible. So it's a pretty general resolution, but it is an SBO for up to $500,000 that would take them through at an approximation of $12,000 a day through the June 30th deadline that the governor has put out. And if you hadn't had a chance to see the full news release from the announcement last week, June 30th is the date that the goal is that 70% of the state would have the immunizations. The CDC is dropping its guidance down to age 12. So more than ever, more people can receive the vaccination. And if we reach a higher vaccination rate sooner, Governor Inslee has promised that he would be able to lower some of the emergency holds sooner and evaluating that almost on a week-by-week basis. I would love to see Spokane participate and help get those numbers towards 70% so we can open up the economy sooner.
Questions? Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering, so if, like right now, it's not clear to me if the issue is a lack of accessibility or marketing or just people who are vaccine hesitant or whatever it may be. But if we roll these additional sites out and we're just not seeing the numbers, is there a marketing component to this that would come out of the SBO, the budget? Or will we just continue to do these until June 30th, regardless of how many people are participating?
My thought is that the fire department would manage this. They do have a communications person as well. I would love to see partnerships with our other communication teams and coordinating with the local news media and the health department. The idea is that these would potentially be at our fire stations, in the community, in the neighborhoods, and be much more accessible. And of course, if the money isn't used, then it's not. We're just authorizing up to $500,000. But we've got to try. We've got to try something more. And I agree. I would love to see some of this spent to get the word out.
Thank you. I think it's an amazing idea because our fire stations, most of them are pretty close to schools. And we'll be vaccinating children. That accessibility in the neighborhoods of a place that they know and is familiar with, I think a partnership with District 81 would be an amazing potential outcome to meet the needs for those numbers and for our kids back in school in the fall. So any other questions for Councilmember Mumm on this one? All right, thank you, Councilmember Mumm. The vaccine queen is what we've been calling her in the office. She's just riding it out. So then we want to go to the resolution. We talked about that, both the recovery plan and the resolution. I want to go to the fire truck SIP at this point in time, and we'll let Councilmember Mumm take that off too.
So we authorized the purchase of 4 fire trucks, I believe to the tune of about $119,000. And I received information that that order had been canceled and after it was made. So I'm just trying to get some information about that.
Anyone can speak to that?
Jay, thank you. The only information that I have at the moment, and I can seek more information out from Brian, is that the money that we had for the SIP program for public safety, the fire department has all of their funds because they're not receiving funds for 2021. We haven't confirmed or not confirmed whether they're going to be able to take a draw on the public safety loans this year, and the funding is not there for the trucks. And that is my understanding, but I will definitely clarify that with Chief Schaefer and get back to you.
So,
JP?
oh, I was just
JP's going to have a comment, I think, that might answer us. JP?
No, I was just, Chairperson Wilkerson, I just wanted to have the opportunity to go back with staff and come up with that number and find out where that money is, where we can locate it, what the status is. If I could have that opportunity, Councilmember Mom, give me a few days to ascertain and get back to you directly as to where we are and what steps need to be taken.
Great.
Thank you. And also, SIP is something we can adjust. So my preference would be maybe in the future, if this was going to happen, contact us because we hate to cancel orders. Thank you.
Thank you. I completely understand.
And if I could just speak to fire trucks, those are valuable pieces of equipment on our city streets, and concur. And I see my fire chief has arrived. He's right there in front of us. He may have something further to add.
I apologize. I had to get off and move to a different computer, but I got word that I needed to be back on this meeting. So my apologies for the delay. Was there something I can answer or something I can help with?
Well, we're talking about the fire trucks and the SIP loan and the order that was canceled.
Right. So based on the availability of the SIP loan, briefing that we received from finance a couple weeks ago was that the capacity was limited, and so we made the decision to pull the vehicles, the four-wheel drive vehicles that you approved, in lieu of potentially some personal protective equipment for firefighters. It was a tough decision because it places us behind where we already are. Some of our vehicles are well over 20 years old, so it puts us behind. But on the other hand, if we've got limited funds, we wanted to make sure we made the right decision with the dollars that we had available.
Perfect. Council President Beggs.
Yeah, just Mr. Perkins, as you look into this, I just want to kind of revive a request that's been outstanding for a while right now, is that in the Condon administration, they came up with a plan on a yearly basis of how much they were going to borrow, how much additional money we were going to put into the public safety capital, how it was going to be divided into fire and police. And I think we need a really comprehensive story of what the plan was, how it's changed in the last couple years, and going forward, so that we can really make these decisions with the big picture instead of one order for four-wheel drives at a time. I really want to figure out what the original plan was. You know, this year's budget, we didn't put in our $1 million increase to this that we've been stacking on top of each other each year, and we can take care of that with the recovery plan and some other things. But we just need to have an agreed upon plan that City Council signs off on. And I've also heard rumor that, you know, $1 million that was supposed to be in the fire went to the police. Probably the police would tell another rumor about that. So I just want to get down to what the plan was in writing, how it's diverged, and how we can get back on track. So it's bigger than just this purchase is my main point. And the sooner we can have a summit on public safety capital, I think the better.
Councilmember Kinnear?
Okay, so yes, what Brian said, but more importantly, we're going to have an outrageous fire season. We have to be prepared, and we have to have the equipment that we need, no matter where a fire occurs. We have to be able to protect our citizens, and certainly the ones that are living in all three of our districts near wildlands. And I don't feel confident right now that we have that. So, Brian Schaefer, anything that you could help with to get us to that point where we feel that we are safe and that we are covered would really be appreciated.
Okay. Well, I think I'm sorry, I didn't Go ahead, Candace. My apologies.
I was going to say, I'm open to raising the cap. That's something we can do. If that's the limitation, just even on this purchase, let's take a look at that quickly, and then we can address some of these larger issues. But we do need to keep, running the business of the fire department. So thank you.
Brian, please continue.
No, I appreciate the concern and us being aligned with the preservation of life and property along with the capital improvement plan. And I think the idea of what Brian's asking for, a comprehensive look, I think that would be pretty easy to put together for everybody. And I know Johnny is just getting his feet underneath of him, but he's been extremely plugged in with us and has a fire background. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation for sure.
Right. JP.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I might, Councilmember Kinnear, if I could, and I know I'm going to be meeting with staff this week as it relates to the public safety and community health agenda, but if I might be able to add an agenda item for June 7, which would discuss that comprehensive plan that the council president is discussing, as well as a plan that you just referenced in terms of the wildfire season that, unfortunately now it's almost 12 months out of the year, right? So it seems to add months every year. So if I can suggest or ask you on June 7 to come back to that committee with both these items, if council on this call is agreeable, then on June 7 we will present both those items as part of that agenda. Thank you.
That'd be great. Thanks.
Thank you, JP. Any other questions or concerns to be expressed around this? Thank you. We look forward to more information. We do want to be safe. So on our last discussion, we have a resolution to lift the hiring freeze, and that was instigated by myself along with my council member Kinnear and and Brian McClatchy to help us with that. So he will get into the details, but after our finance committee last week, and we saw the resources that we have available in our city, because we had posted a hiring freeze, that we're in a good spot. And with the governor's orders, we need to lift that hiring freeze, put people back to work, economic development, but also our citizens are deserving the services that we suspended during the COVID. So, Brian, do you have any other comments around that? McClatchy?
Thank you. I don't, other than I think that I think the broader intent is just to express that the council wants to make sure that our recovery is moving as rapidly forward as we can, and to make sure that we're deploying the resources that we can to jumpstart that recovery ASAP.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, just in reading the resolution, it looks like it's a little broader than just the hiring freeze.
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that this is actually just ending the declared emergency?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's correct, and I think also that a number of the implications that flow from that, such as expenditure limitations beyond the normal, and the hiring freeze beyond the normal, are also captured in that. Yep, I think that's accurate.
Okay. Well, I would agree wholeheartedly. I think it's time for the declared emergency to end, so I would support.
Councilmember Kinnear.
And as I am one of the instigators on this as well, I know this probably took the administration by surprise. I think when we did get our information last Thursday about the resources that were available, we felt a sense of urgency to get this going and make sure that it was on the quickest committee meeting so that we could get it moving, get it through council, and get it approved, because people are waiting, and they shouldn't have to wait any longer. So it was being proactive. It was also acting very urgently based on what we heard on Thursday.
Thank you. Any other comments? JP.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank you, Councilmember Kinnear. The administration is supportive of this resolution and action. as it relates to lifting not only the hiring freeze, but the other elements of the COVID-19 emergency order. So the mayor is supportive of that action when it's taken by council. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, we're going to go into our monthly financials, and I'm going to turn it over to Paul and Josie.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. I'm going to share my screen. And I believe all the materials made it into the packet this month. So on PDF page 244, you'll find the first monthly report, which would be changes to the general fund through April 2021. Through this point in the year, there's about $4.5 million added to the general fund budget. The majority of that are going to be your encumbrance carryovers, about $4.1 million of that. The only one you see on here for April was the SBO related to the Envision Center lease. There was $9,000 coming from the general fund to help pay for utilities. What you don't see on here is the Guild retro payout SBO, and that was done on purpose. We were waiting for the actuals to hit the proper program function codes for the department so that we wouldn't have to post the SBO and then post it again to all the individual line items that the actual dollars hit to. So we'll make sure that that is included for May, but I believe that happened in the April time period for paychecks. Any questions on the general fund report? Okay.
Seeing none.
I'll move forward to the intra-fund budget transfer report. And again, as a refresher, these are for transfers between different type code sections. So aside from personnel and salary and benefits going to a different type code, which now require an SBO, this would be from supplies and services to capital or vice versa. And they appear on this report that Amy Blaine from our office puts together. And it's the majority in gray. Those are going to be position reclassifications that go through the civil service process. There are a few items on there related to different departments. I'm anticipating one question on police vehicles. You'll see it's about 5 lines down, $75,000 for minor equipment to vehicles. That was for their undercover vehicle purchase. So it's not related to their fleet purchases, just in case there was a question specifically on that one. Any questions on the intra-fund report?
Keep going.
I'll move over to our monthly PowerPoint deck. The April report for May 17th, 2021. Overall, general fund revenues are about 2.5% below budget through April, about $35 million collected against a $35.6 million budget. And it's primarily due to weaker interest earnings and fines and forfeits, which we kind of saw with the 2020 year-end report from last week as well. Sales, property, utility taxes are actually 3% above budget through April, which you'll see in a couple slides is the main driver for the general fund budget. On the expenditure side, general fund expenditures are approximately 1% below budget through April, about $65 million in expenses against the $65.4 million budget. And the main driver for that, again, salaries and benefits, $2.5 million under budget. On the uniform overtime side, through April, so 4 months through the year, police and fire had spent 33% and 77% of their respective annual overtime budgets. Let's look at the general fund revenue, about $900,000 below budget, but if you look 2021 year to date, it's about on par with 2021 year to date. And as a reminder, we have about a 2-month lag on sales tax activity when sales tax is collected. So you're seeing April revenue is based off of February activity on the sales tax. So this is kind of before the big impact. And you see the spike coming up next month. That's due to property tax collection, which we should see next month's report. This chart, which again, we're working on a better way to show it, is just copy and paste it from some of our internal reports. What I do want to point out on this one is, so the first 4 you see, sales tax, property, interfund, and business, the utility taxes for 3 and 4, those 4 lines combined equal about 80% of the general fund revenue. If you include that line, charges for services below that, which is typically engineering services, charging out for projects, I believe some police revenue comes in through that line. Those first 5 categories, that's about 90% of the general fund revenue. Everything below that, it's sort of minimal, but it makes up about 10% of the overall revenue picture. Taxable sales, this is where we see a little bit of good news in the general fund. February 2021 was up about 20% compared to February 2020. And again, this is the revenue that we collect or receive around April, so the 2-month lag. Through February, retail trade was up 26%, construction up 38%, and accommodation and food services down 2%. And again, that's compared February 2021 through February 2020. Total taxable sales for February were roughly $466 billion, an increase of about $77 million over 2020. And this is a new table we started adding, I believe, a month or two ago. This shows the sales tax distribution for selected counties around the state and then a couple specific cities within those counties. And this shows the year-to-year change. So all the way to the right-hand side, April 2021, which again, not to make it more confusing, is February activity. We were 20% higher for taxable sales, for sales tax received for April 2021 than we were April 2020. And you can see April 2020, we were actually down 6% compared to April 2019. So we put all that into a chart, which kind of looks a little messy, but it shows our city, Seattle, Tacoma, the Valley, and the county. And you can kind of see how we're dealing with basically the boom and bust over the last year with the pandemic, showing the percent changes again year over year for those entities. If we get rid of the cities and counties on the west side and just look at the city, the Valley, and the county, you can see we're all sort of, well, at least the Valley and the city are projecting up the last couple months, and the county's plateauing a little bit, but they're still above prior year. The last slide is on expenditures through April 2021. We're about 1.3% below budget, almost $1 million. And again, by category, salary benefits about 9% below, supplies about 14% below, and services 13% above budget. We had one large charge that hit in April, which you can see why we were slightly above where we expected it to be. That was a previously planned transfer to street capital to the Arterial Streets Program for the U District Sprague Project Bridge, the bridge. Sprague Project was posted in April that we had in the budget. So I believe that's it from us. Happy to take any questions.
Councilmember Cathcart, and then Councilmember Mumm.
Yeah, just wondering, can you project out based on the current trend lines about how much the city may bring in $1590 by the end of the year?
I believe we have that tracked, but I can get that number for you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Hey, Paul, I'm just wondering, the supplies being down 14%, is that because people aren't using their offices and being remote, or what is the big diff on that?
That's something we have to look into. We haven't done much questioning on that one at this point. It could just be some seasonal purchases that happened early in the year last year aren't happening because, as you mentioned, people aren't really in the office too. Mm-hmm. So some of those resources and supplies. So that's something we can definitely look into and get back to you on.
Yeah, just trying to anticipate if that's something that's going to change, or we need to, we'll come back to work and everybody's ordering paper at the same time, or I'm just kind of anticipating that condition, or maybe we just got more efficient. I don't know, but I know I use less paper. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Paul? Councilmember Mumm, I'm using your paper while you're not in the office. Sorry. So, thank you. With that being said, then we will go on to our COVID monthly update, and we have Amber Richards here for that, and also for the 21st Century Workforce. Amber?
This is Megan Stanelson. I'm going to fill in for Amber today, and I'll be providing the COVID-19 update, and we're going to defer the 21st Century update for this quarter. Okay. So I do have a presentation. I can get it up here. All right. So internal case count trends. We did see a significant drop in cases February through March, but starting in mid-April, the case counts internally began to rise again, and they've continued to hover around 2 to 6 cases per week over the last 6 weeks. So we are going to continue to monitor that. It's not as bad as it has been, but that is a higher amount than we had seen earlier this year. As far as plans for reopening City Hall, the Development Services Center counter reopened today on an appointment-only basis using their queueless queuing system software. So customers can join a virtual queue, and then they can visit the third floor once their name is called up in the queue. So that DSC counter will be open just 2 days a week on Mondays and Wednesdays, and they'll provide same-day permits such as fences, garages, or sheds and things of the like. It's anticipated that customers will be able to complete their business within 15 to 30 minutes. And this week, we really considered to be the soft opening, which was shared by word of mouth. As customers were calling in last week, staff was sharing the option of coming in this week to do that. So we didn't advertise it broadly because we really need to get our arms around what this looks like. It's just an entirely new environment for staff and visitors. So we wanted to make sure we could somewhat limit the usage this week while we kind of work out any kinks in the system. So the Development Services area did undergo a safety evaluation of all work areas, and all of the employees that returned did receive reopening training on the COVID protocol in place and how to apply that to their work area and the services that they're providing. Customers are required to wear masks, as are the city employees, while serving those customers, and there's also barriers in place between the customer and the city employee during all portions of the service transaction. As far as evaluating the new state mandates on masking, the city is remaining status quo right now until further notice. We are awaiting further guidance from L&I, which has been really what we've leaned upon throughout the pandemic for providing guidance to employees. In addition to the news that we received from the governor last week, he also signed 2 bills into legislation that was aimed at enhancing worker rights and protections during a public health emergency, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. So these new changes are really something that we're going to need to take into account as we consider efforts to reopen City Hall in a more complete manner. So I'll just kind of highlight the 3 key changes that they made. The first is that workers' compensation coverage for public safety employees that contract COVID-19 at work will continue. That was provided under the emergency order during the pandemic, but he has now signed that into law. So going forward, COVID-19 will be a workers' comp covered illness if contracted at work. The second is a prohibition of discrimination against high-risk employees. So this bill makes it illegal for an employer to discriminate against an employee who is high risk and seeks an accommodation or leave to minimize exposure to infectious diseases during a public health emergency like COVID-19. The third is that employers are required to disclose outbreaks and exposure in the workplace. So within 1 business day, an employer is required to provide written notice to all employees at the work site of a potential infectious disease such as COVID-19, and we also must notify the union representing any employees impacted by that. We have had a close contact protocol where we've notified all close contacts, but this really expands that list of individuals that need to be notified following a potential COVID-19 case in the workplace. So beyond that, we're going to be updating our internal COVID protocol and continue to await some guidance from L&I as far as the masking goes. So until we're able to share further information, it's just going to remain status quo with masks required and all of the social distancing measures. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
So Megan, I have a question. In the private industry, they are standing up programs where if the employee is willing to inform the employer they've been vaccinated, they've been giving them buttons or stickers or something that they could put on their badges or lapels. Is the city in a spot where if I voluntarily say I've been vaccinated and document, could we look at that? I think it would just help us all wandering around, and it just seems such a simple thing to do, and it's actually kind of a factor of, okay, we are being proactive once again to know that we are part of the recovery.
Yeah, that's a good question. Labor guidance out there right now really cautions employers from providing any sort of branding for employees. In some instances, it leads to some internal turmoil, some bullying that occurs between employees. We definitely have different factions in the workplace as it relates to COVID-19. And once you start calling out individuals, and whether they're vaccinated or not, it can contribute to some internal conflict amongst work crews and work groups where we have employees then just refusing to work with other individuals. We prefer that we really continue to encourage social distancing and all of the protocol that we've had in place for the last year that really has been pretty effective in reducing those cases within the workplace.
Thank you. Any other questions for Megan? Council President?
Yes, Megan, I've been suggesting for several weeks now that we explore a potential financial incentive program for any employees that choose to be vaccinated without any stigma for those that don't. And I'm just wondering what the status of exploring that. There was some question about whether legally we could or not. Just seems like as we want to get that 70% vaccination rate, anything we can do as a city to lead on that might be helpful.
That, yes, we have kind of lightly looked into that. It is a mandatory subject of bargaining. So in order to provide those incentives, we would have to then negotiate that benefit with all 8 of the city's unions. So I haven't been asked to take that next step with the unions, but I think the conversations that you're having with city administration might be appropriate to kind of direct the work in that manner. But it is mandatory, so we would have to negotiate it with all of them.
Thank you. I guess we could do a lottery, as some states are doing, but any other questions for Megan around this issue? Well, hearing that,
Betsy, I'll just encourage, and I will work to help you, Megan, through the Association of Washington Cities. We have 281 cities in the state, and they are all doing similar things. So if we can find some best practices that maybe don't have to be bargained. I know we do this for the United Way and other things. So there might be a way to do it like Councilor Wilkerson said, sort of like you put your name in with your Vax card or something like that. So maybe I can share some other places that are doing it and see what they're doing.
That would be great. Thank you.
Perfect. Any other comments? Hearing none, our time together is over. We will be meeting again on June 21st at 1:15. Thank you all and have a great day. See council members shortly.
Thanks for using WebEx. Visit our website at www.webex.com.